Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Reimagining Tech in 2022, presented by Google Cloud and ETCIO. In the path towards making a mark in our endeavor, we have successfully conducted 9 workshops till now, and this is the 10th and the last one. We appreciate you all being a part of this innovative series of workshops around cutting-edge cloud technologies by seasoned technology leaders and Google Cloud experts. The sessions have been conceptualized, keeping in mind IT leaders who are looking to gain actionable insights to support their organization's digital growth strategies. Well, today's workshop is focused again on a very interesting topic, which is accelerate productivity with no-code app development. Today, the need for organizations to be more innovative and agile is more important than ever, and they are turning to digital solutions to achieve this. Workforce transformation has become a top priority for organizations, and there is a huge shift in the marketplace where normal, everyday employees are building their own solutions. Gartner predicts that by 2024, 80% of the technology products and services will be built by these non-developer professionals. This workshop will focus on Google Cloud's no-code app development solution that empowers anyone, including citizen developers with zero coding knowledge, to create business applications. This means that anyone in an organization can build apps that are secure, flexible, and scalable without putting a strain on engineering or IT resources. The major key points of discussion today will include insights in no-code platform to simplify app creation, streamline work and integrations to improve collaboration, elevate with AI and ML to build faster, and how to build and deploy applications anywhere with simplicity and flexibility. And now let's start with our workshop on Reimagining Tech in 2022, Accelerate Productivity with No-Code App Development. I would welcome our first keynote speaker, Ajay Chawla, Head IT and Infosec, Sterlite Technologies Ltd. I request you to kindly deliver the address. We also have a Q&A session at the end of the workshop. So we request our viewers to keep posting your questions, and our speakers will be happy to take them up.
I'm happy to be here talking to you about certain topics which I feel are the need of hour in today's world. As you all seen, technology is evolving at a scale which probably we have not even thought about it, or how things are changing at a rapid pace. Look at this example of what has happened in the recent 2-3 days ago about the beta release of ChatGPT. It is based on that GPT-3, which was making waves few months ago. And now there's ChatGPT, and you should see the response ChatGPT is able to create. Even with an IQ, it is said to be around 68, but it is so focused that it is taking us into a different realm altogether. And it has a ripple effect to the enterprises and the ripple effect on the enterprise technology. And that is where my role as head of IT and Infosec for STL, Sterlite Technologies, is kind of getting woven into this changing environment of technology. And, even before that, the aspect of the impact in general, today the businesses are seeing from the scale of change the businesses are seeing themselves. The change is such that we are seeing how companies are disappearing and new companies are becoming unicorn and $1 billion+ in a very, very short time scale, which was not seen earlier. So that scale, if you see, is translating into a business need of a business urgency of needing things right here, things being developed in front of their eyes, the business being a co-owner, so to say, in setting the requirements, because these are evolving requirements, and also the output being seen happening in an agile fashion and outcomes being visible incrementally right there in face, and also being developed. Why this is happening, doesn't take away anything which happens today in the real world of enterprise IT, because there is a need for the ERPs and other worlds, which is establishing standard processes from the business environment point of view. But at the same time, surrounding those ERPs, as well as there are business needs which cannot wait for an outcome, let's say a few months down the line, if not longer time frame. So they need things right here. That's in the aspect of digital transformation, which is being spoken in multiple forums, has been and accelerated by what we saw during the COVID time, but it is here and now. And digital transformation has made various aspects. I will cover only a few and then try to link it to what is the turnaround time required for them, and obviously from a cybersecurity perspective. So this digital transformation, as we see, has aspects of being paperless, the digitized process being available, now, and you are able to create certain level of do away with certain level of manual or slow moving processes through the platforms, which will enable the output to be there in an elegant UI UX format, in an elegant mobile app interface, so that you can do a lot of manual, get away from a lot of manual entries, or make the manual entry seamless for the data to get captured right from the source point of view and being used from from an enterprise digital transformation perspective. So, I touched about a little bit about paperless, and that's where this manual entry piece, ties in. Then there is an aspect of, I mentioned about the turnaround time. All that which I was talking about from a business need also translates in from the requirement which business today needs from IT. So IT is kind of given that it is an enabler to business today. Where that's where the change the business comes in. It doesn't take away anything to which run the business absolutely is required, and it should be also a focus of an IT leader. But the change of business, the change to business or enabling business is very much a focus. It has been a focus for past few years, and it is just the acceleration and the expectation is just increasing by leaps and bounds. And also, the budget, because there is a business requirement and the business cannot wait for that long, there is obviously that aspect of the budget being enabled and being used in real time, outputs coming in, obviously, and in resulting in the business benefits. For example, if business wants to see that its net flow income or its cash flow, or how it is setting up the credit limits for its customers, as well as the behaviors of its vendors, there are certain things which the business reads today at a click of a button, and changing so much at a rapid space. So that's where the aspect of choosing a platform comes in, which is also from a cybersecurity point of view secure. It is being enabled by a partner which has credentials to be cyber secure. They are investing a lot more, heft in terms of protecting their platform from an attack, from a threat, digital threat perspective. And so all these aspects have to be considered. It's not, the asks of digital transformation, the need for turnaround time to be very, very short, and it's a secure platform. So all these are aspects which we need to, cater to. And therefore, I just want to bring in aspect of, what the real world is. What I have been all talking about is where the business is seeing, but then you need something which works on the ground, right? And therefore, I feel that, today the world is expecting, and therefore there are platforms now available from what is known as a low-code, no-code platforms or a low-code application platforms. There are different terminologies being used. And I think Gartner is doing a very good job in framing those aspects. And it helps us as IT leaders to see where the trend is going. And also, if we are tuned into the business needs and the technology changes, I think we should be able to adapt and adopt to these, these platforms. These platforms, what I mean is the low code, no code, and the LCAP or the low code application platforms. What do these platforms bring to the table? They are basically taking away the traditional way of developing apps ground up, though there are obviously in the world of the languages, there are now enough libraries. But this low code, no code is bringing an aspect of working with the business very, very closely, even to the extent of, as the evolution stage, being able to include the business users to be part of that landscape of how the application is being built right in front of their eyes. There is no aspect of somebody going back and developing some requirement, some application, which has to be then tweaked later, but being developed right in front of them, co-opting them into this process. That brings in a completely different dimension, which the agile world had already started building on. And now they are co-opting them to be part of the development process, which in real life, there could be many, many examples of you wanting to co-opt the business, and the business also realizing that the changes how they are developing in terms of an application which will take away the aspects of our outcomes, as I gave few examples of how to be able to do things at a click of button. Those use cases we can build on right in front of their eyes. So that is where a platform comes into picture. Let's talk about the platforms a little, and then we talk about a little bit aspect about how do we and when do we think of buying those platforms. So let's go through that journey. Let's make it a little useful of what you should be able to take forward. People, going through this journey of adoption of low code, no code. So this platform, I think, from an aspect of reality to enterprise, you would need this platform to be able to give you a way of developing a no-code application, a platform which can integrate well into the enterprise landscape, because most of the applications need some kind of data to be pulled in, or it be interacting with certain set of applications in real time for the interactions to complete, right? And therefore, there are many other surrounding aspects of data lake or enterprise applications talking to this, low-code application platforms. So I spoke about the almost no-code aspect of it, then also about some critical application needing some kind of low-code coming into picture for it to be a little complex use case to be solved for business. So you need a platform which can go from simple to medium complex. You need an application, a platform which I said it integrates well in the enterprise landscape and obviously secure. If we are taking care of these few aspects, and obviously, as I mentioned, not to be forgotten about the aspect of UI UX development. Very easy. You should be able to create flows which can complete your action in 3 clicks, because this aspect is very important. Otherwise, people try to figure out a way which is manual, which is out of the system. So you are making it easier for people to use the system. Typically, with a 3-click, the business should be able to complete its task or the role which that person is playing for that particular process. So, that aspect of, and obviously the mobile app, all these form a way of, looking at, this platform. And I think you should do, obviously, a competitive analysis. And when you are developing the use case for a complete total cost of ownership, TCO, you should look at what is your immediate business asks, what are the current application sets, or let's say BPMS platforms, the business process management systems, or some of the other evolving or not so evolving application platforms, and bring in the aspect of which applications or process flows you will sunset and bring them into the platform which you are choosing. So, and then the third aspect being, what are you pushing the boundary from this application landscape? Can you use it, for example, in a manufacturing execution system, MES? So you are looking at the current immediate need of business problem to be solved, the existing processes or application which will get sunset by getting subsumed into this new application platform which you are looking for, and as well as will it be able to cater to some complex, maybe not so much in the future, but future needs which will come into this, and therefore you should not be then looking for again going back to the either developing an application or buying a COTS application. So if you are looking at all these paradigms of decision making and then defining the TCO, let's say over a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year period, I think the business justification would become evident. And since the business will be also playing a role, or the business users will be playing a role in developing this, or solving this business problem through technology, I think we have a very strong and robust case of using these platforms, and therefore being able to change the dimension of the speed which we were talking about of turnaround time and solving the business problem, because the business has a much greater urgency to solve the problem in today's world. So that's what I thought in my mind. The urgency, the real world needs, the platform, what aspects it's solving, and how should be your let's say the buying guide should look like at a high level, would give you a frame of mind for taking or adopting this particular platform forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay, for kickstarting this workshop and setting the context aptly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to delve deeper in these areas, I would like to invite our second speaker, Prakash Panchal, Google Workspace and AppSheet Specialist, Google Cloud. I would like to remind you all once again that you can post your questions in the question section, as we will have a Q&A session at the end of the workshop.
As you heard Ajay talking about the importance of low-code, no-code platform, let me give you a deep down around how AppSheet can help empower and govern your digital workforce. But even before that, let me just introduce myself very quickly. My name is Prakash Panchal, and I'm the Google Workspace and AppSheet specialist working with the Google Mumbai team. And I'm very excited to talk to you about how you can leverage AppSheet to empower and govern your digital workforce. AppSheet is a Google Cloud no-code app development platform that allows anyone, regardless of their coding knowledge, to create enterprise-grade apps and automations. By adoption, and what we have seen is by adopting AppSheet, customers are able to digitize and simplify their work, customize their apps and automations to the business needs, and integrate them with the software they're already using. So think of a process, or think of processes that you use today on spreadsheets, on pen and paper, on forms, using scripts to run a specific workflow on a specific platform, or you have a point solution delivering a specific task or a process. Now, those are some of the very very low hanging fruits for an organization to solve using a low code, no code platform or a no code platform like AppSheet. So let me take a step back and talk about why we are saying it and why is it important now. Well, I want to start by discussing these three trends which we are seeing throughout the enterprises across all industries. First, we are seeing that the workforce transformation has become a top priority for organizations. In a recent Deloitte study, it was found that workforce transformation has become a top priority for 75% of the organizations. This is a huge shift in the priority that we have seen over the last few years as pandemic has forced many organizations to rethink the way employ both knowledge workers as well as frontline workers should work. Second, there is a huge shift in the marketplace where normal everyday employees are building their own solutions, or at least they want to build their own solutions. In fact, Gartner predicts that by 2024, 80% of the technology products and services will be built on these non developer professionals. This is a booming market projected to generate more than 180 plus billion dollars by 2030. So organizations are now investing more in their workforce, and employees want to leverage this technology that can be used to build their own solutions. Now, the third, which brings me to talk about more around IT. These changes have serious implications for IT, especially for them, enabling their workforce to build those app and automations and solutions has a lot of risk. And in terms of security, in terms of data privacy, compliance, and governance. So IT ends up needing to find a balance between these two priorities, where they need to empower their employees while also maintain proper security and governance for the organization. To do this, they need softwares that is really very easy to use and can address a wide variety of use cases, not especially for a business unit or especially for a user, but it may be appropriate for anybody in the organization to build those, and which also allows it to connect to existing softwares and applications at the same time. Now, with that comes the risk, and that's where it becomes paramount for the IT to bring governance and control of data and functionality inside of organization and their data sets. And that's why we built AppSheet. With AppSheet, the app builders can shorten the development lifecycle, which means they can go from idea to a solution in days or weeks rather than it taking months and years for even simple apps that can often go from data to complete an app in an hour or two. So that's how we have simplified the entire life cycle of an app development using AppSheet. It also built with IT in mind and given them the trust and control they need in order to scale the platform out to their organizations. Now, with that being said, firstly, security is always top of the mind, not only for the IT or the organization or the infosec team at the organizations, but also for Google as a platform. And AppSheet is no exception. It is built with robust security measures so that IT can trust their data and put their data wherever they are and use platform like AppSheet to connect to that data, which gives and makes the entire app development lifecycle really secure and reliable. Secondly, AppSheet also gives IT the control because AppSheet is a true no-code platform uh, where IT doesn't have to worry about rogue code or rogue developers who write rogue code and then can easily create policies and guardrails to ensure the platform is used that the way they want it to. And finally, by standardizing on AppSheet, it can afford solution building to its workforce, often reducing a long backlog of internal tools and internal solutions that needs to be developed with many and many different types of languages and different levels of developers coming in play and building teams and lengthening the process of app development in totality. Now, with this, let me also dive in a little more into security, because that's the top of the mind when we talk about any cloud solution, irrespective of whether it's a productivity solution, a collaboration solution, or it's an app development no code solution like AppSheet. Now, first, let's look at Google Cloud as a whole. So, we have successfully built advanced cloud native defenses from grounds up to serve individuals and businesses around the world at a massive scale. And Google pioneered the zero trust model more than a decade ago to protect their own infrastructure, as well as leverage that technology and the learnings to build the solutions that we offer to our customers. The core tenets there are you trust nothing, you detect everything, and you secure the collaboration process. Now, when I say trust nothing, it essentially means that you assume breach and focus on detection and response. We provide consistent, verifiable controls throughout the entire cloud, and we detect everything because of the breadth and depth of data to identify and train the machine learning models to protect threats soon as they emerge and evolve inside. We also use a secure collaboration mindset, and that approach of a user sharing a file with another user on the internet or inside the organization is a link rather than sending it an attachment. And the secure collaboration mentality and thought process is also coming in not only on our productivity solutions but also otherwise. Now, if you see, these capabilities are built inside of Google Cloud, and we are focused on continuing to increase these capabilities to bring greater security by default to every application that we run inside of Google Cloud. Now, as you look into transforming your applications into the cloud, and or even lift and shift your applications, you'll find these capabilities improve your security posture in a way that simply adding another standalone security tool will not be able to do. So we are building in the security controls and learning in from different applications that we have, and ensuring the security of the organization that uses our product is paramount and is at the peak. Now, um, data privacy is again another thought process that we always have inside of mind, and it's also a huge concern to the IT. The data that you put inside of AppSheet is your own data. We don't own it. The only thing we do with this is serve it back to you in the manner we agreed upon. Now, think of a way that you have your database running on your local systems, or running on spreadsheets, or running on a database running on cloud. We connect our application, an AppSheet application, which is a no-code application, to that data set and build an app on top of it. We don't own that data. You retain full control and ownership of your data. AppSheet only connects to it. And you always have an ability to remove or revoke the connection as and when needed. Um, AppSheet is also a secure and a reliable platform that you can trust on, which is compliant with number of certifications that you'll see. The ISO certification, the FedRAMP certification. So it does have those compliance certifications which are needed for specific industries when you are looking at data. It's also important to be on a secure platform, but if we enable workforce to build their own custom solutions, IT is going to need to have a lot of control and visibility around how that platform is used. And that there comes where IT needs to ensure that there is robust governance and visibility across the organization, which IT is able to review. AppSheet makes this very easy. First, since AppSheet is a true no-code platform, meaning that the organizations doesn't have to worry about any type of raw code which gets created inside of an application development, because AppSheet creators won't be writing any code. Second, by standardizing AppSheet as your development platform, organizations can gain clear visibility into how the platform has been used. And in that ways, the IT is able to minimize the threat that they always have around shadow IT. And third, AppSheet gives IT the control with the platform. It is able to easily set governance policies that ensure that anyone using the platform is doing so under the parameters that they are defined by the organization itself. Now let's look a little more closer and deeper into these governance controls that you can use. First, you can set up and manage teams. You can enforce different policies for different sets of teams and allow them to share data and apps within their teams. Some of these policies you may want to set, including restrictions by domain, for an example, restricting certain features. For an example, you would set a policy requiring everyone to enable offline mode on their app. Restricting data sources. Example, you would want the app developer should be only be allowed to connect to spreadsheet as their data source. And also application lifecycle. For example, giving only a certain group of people the ability to deploy or sunset apps. So you have those controls to not only funnel out the databases, the data source, the access to that data source, but also an ability of who should be allowed to deploy these applications, who should be allowed to sunset these applications as well. Finally, with AppSheet IT, can have access to advanced reporting tools such as authentication listings, usage reports, and app instigation tools. These tools usually allow you to see how people are using the platform in your organization, and how it's been used and what kind of success it is having. And based on these logs and these signals, the organization can think of ways in which they can build up workshops and other methodologies, appathons and hackathons, in which they can leverage AppSheet for app development for brainstorming purposes as well. And then look for different ways in which they can encourage specific use cases and business units inside the organization. Now, that while we have spoken quite a bit about security and governance, let's also talk about how you can use the platform to scale innovation, not only for a specific department or a business unit, but also for your organization. um, like we said, AppSheet app builders can just shorten the development life cycle, going directly from idea to a solution in days, or in probably a couple of hours if those are simple apps. The platform itself is flexible because it allows the app builders to leverage the devices that the end users or the consumers who are going to use the app. For example, they can leverage the camera app to capture an image and do an OCR on the fly to extract the text and map that text inside your database. Use GPS to capture the location of that particular user when an entry is made, or else while capturing the entry, also run an automation in the backend which sends out an email for an approval or a notification to a specific team or a specific business head. So it allows the builder, the app builder, as well as the consumer to be able to consume the fullest of what they would need to not only simplify and digitize the processes, but also be productive and not doing tasks which are repetitive by typing in and writing in inside a piece of paper. AppSheet can also be extended with Google Workspace, and this is how a typical suite of apps would look like when you talk about AppSheet and Google Workspace. Let's say that you have a normal Google Workspace in your organization and using Gmail Drive slides, and on top of that, you have created these additional apps that you use to streamline some of the common tasks and some of the common business processes. For example, someone checking an inventory probably doesn't want to set up formulas and sheets for conditional formatting so that they can see if the inventory is going low. Instead, they can use a simple app that allows them to easily update the data using a barcode scanner and have that data saved directly inside of database, and uh, send out an email to the supplier if the inventory is going to get low. That's one way in which you could digitize AppSheet. So many of our customers who are using AppSheet apps, they also use typical apps such as timesheets, approvals, resource portals, along with all the other workplace apps that they're using inside their workplace as such. With that said, AppSheet is also an open platform which integrates with vast variety of data sources that are usually and most commonly used by most of the organizations, right from spreadsheets all the way to databases running on cloud, as well as connecting to APIs and gateways to gather information from the internet or else inside the organization. So it does allow you to integrate and exchange data across different platforms. It also supports a wide variety of use cases, and you can see some of the examples here. The examples of common apps and automations that our customers have built. Some of them are mission critical for their business. A couple of examples I could give here is you can build a field delivery app that updates data in sheets, for an example, and allow the person delivering to take a picture of the delivered package, annotate it, and save it as an image in Drive. So with this, you're not only using AppSheet, but you're using the Drive and the camera of your phone and Drive from Google Workspace to save all of your data, which is Sheets as well as Drive. You could also create a virtual training app, for an example, and let users sign in and join live trainings, automatically sending calendar invites as well. You could create like a resource portal so that team members can save and access documentation in a customized layout. While there are many such use cases, and for that we have also built the most common templates inside AppSheet, which you can leverage as soon as you start using AppSheet. Right, rather than building an app from scratch, you could just use those templates which are most commonly available and needed for the organization. With this, let me also give you some more examples around the templates that we have with AppSheet. So for example, the facility asset, it's again one of the template which is available, which tracks company assets across facilities. It allows to manage inventory of those company assets across multiple offices. Also allows you to see the floor plan and maps and item details inside the app as well. So the way this is built, the technologies that we are leveraging is AppSheet is the front end, where you have sheets being your database, or you can use BigQuery as your database, or an SQL as your database. You can use email to send out those email notifications, save images on Google Cloud or on Google Drive, and also use calendar and Meet for any specific invoice that you need to send to, or meeting that you need to join directly from the AppSheet app itself. Some of the other integrations which are also possible is to integrate this with Apigee, which is the API gateway, which allows you to bring in and put governance around the APIs as well, and take all of that data and put it to Data Studio, or put it to Looker for further BI that you would want to look at. The other example is around tiered approval, where you need to uh, put those nested approvals for any document or for any specific process that needs to go for multi-layer approval. So you could build those on AppSheet as well. A visitor check-in is another example which is most widely and commonly used, where you can create a visitor check-in app, and for every office location that you have, you would have an app that can be used as a self-serve, or can be deployed at the front desk, and it can be used for visitor check-in, and appropriate notifications, emails, chat messages when a visitor comes in can be published inside of Google Workspace. One last example I wanted to give here was around onboarding and training. May it be for a retail store, for a shop floor, or may it be for an employee joining an IT team or a sales team. You can use the onboarding and training app template for capturing the entire onboarding process and making it easier for the end user to be able to run through all the trainings, offline, online, as well as let the manager know how the progress have been, and if there are any changes which are needed to be part of the onboarding process. Now, last piece I want to talk about, from the presence of AppSheet in the market standpoint, is AppSheet is a leader in this space and has been recognized by Forrester as having the most aggressive strategy and roadmap for for empowering business people as well as developers. This has also accelerated since AppSheet acquisition by Google, and the you can expect the platform to continue getting easier to use and also getting more powerful as we go. All right, so now let's jump on to a demo to see how do you actually build an app and how do you navigate between different resources that you have for AppSheet. So what you're seeing on the screen is an AppSheet page. Essentially, when you log in, you're not going to be seeing recent as such because you may not have any apps built. But for you to create an app, there are several ways in which you can create an app. So you click on the new app, and then you'll find typically two or three options based on where you are at on your AppSheet journey. And you will have an option to create an app based on your existing data, or you will start with a template. We also have a blank app as an option, which is currently in preview, which means you can create an app from blank without any data and use AppSheet database in the backend to create that data set for you. And then you can build an app on top of it. Now, you also have templates, which I was talking about in my slides, and there are several templates available based on a function, based on industry, which you can use. And the way you would navigate inside these templates is, for an example, you're looking for an app that does project tracker, and you want to see how does this app look like, can I reuse it or not. So you just click on project tracker, and it brings up the emulator for you on the right, where you can navigate between the look and feel of the app and see how it is capturing that data. So what you see here is there are three tabs. One is you are creating a new project as part of project tracker, where you get to select the work stream, select the task, put in a start date, due date, completed, not completed, put in progress, and then save. That's one way you're going to create a project. The second is you want to track that particular project. So for example, in here you see not started, in progress, completed, and you also see the tracker details. where you have an option to navigate. So if this looks okay to you, and it is good for you to start with, you can very well click on copy and customize, or you can say look under the hood. When you say look under the hood, it essentially brings this app in a view only mode for you to see how this app is built and what are some of those columns, what are some of those UI and workflows which are built inside of this platform or inside this particular app to show you this navigation. If you see, it is currently in only read-only mode, where you will be able to see that there are 4 tables, and each table have this level of security and it is stored at this place. And you have 4 columns. And for example, in the tracker column, you will see that by default, when you create an app with your existing data, the column types are automatically marked for you. So you don't have to go back and change each and every column type. It uses the data attribute, and based on that, it tries its best to match the column type. So you don't have to change. And then you have these formulas that you can use inside your column to bring up some automation inside the column itself. You also have options right from whether you want to show that particular column, you want the users to be able to edit that particular column. Is it a needed column, is it required, not required, and whether you want to capture a specific event when a user logs in inside the app, you could do that as well. For example, we are capturing the user email when the user is going to try creating a new project, so that it auto populates that information and we know that user has created this particular project. Likewise, you go to UX, and inside of UX, you can navigate around the views, around the brand, the formats, and other options that you have inside of the app. Especially for views, you can create different types of view. So for example, what you're seeing right now is for example, the tracker view that you're seeing is the dashboard view. You can change it to probably a deck view or a card view based on how you would want the UI of the app to be seen by the end user. You can create multiple new views, and you can slice and dice those table information and create views on top of it, so to show it up on dashboard. You can also create automations and create behaviors. For example, in here, there is a behavior that says when this particular attachment is open from a file, you do this. For example, in the tracker table, you want to set a particular value to in progress when an action happens. So likewise, you can create those behaviors and then use the entire bot for automation. For example, what you're seeing here is it says that you send scheduled reminders to the end users if those tasks are incomplete, and also send an email to the owner for the owner to be able to view. Likewise, you can create nested different processes inside of the automation for any specific task that you would want to achieve. You also can create events inside bot, saying that if a new entry is created, you copy this particular entry from one table to another, and then execute an API call to check that entry with my API source. And if the API source matches, you go back and send the result or show up the result on my particular AppSheet app. You could do that as well. Um, you can now integrate AppSheet with Google Chat as well, where you can use the AppSheet app from Google Chat using a slash command, which is again currently which is in beta, which based on how the end organization would want to use, we can enable it, but it does have those level of integration as well. You can use slash commands in chat and execute an action inside the chat for AppSheet as well. We have security inbuilt, where it also allows how we want the users to sign in. Should the user require a sign in, should be a Google authenticator sign in, or should be a Microsoft authenticator, or would it be something else altogether? You can choose the authenticator provider as well. You can create security filters saying that if a user who is part of Mumbai location, when that user joins in or logs in inside the app, they should only see entries for Mumbai. However, when a person from Bangalore joins in, they should only see the entry for Bangalore. So you can create those types of security filters as well um, inside of AppSheet. So in totality, if this app looks better to you, you can start using this template and build on top of it by creating copy an app. And as you would see, once you start building those apps, you will get suggestions and ideas from all the learnings that the AppSheet app would have as you are trying to build the app. It will give you suggestions, provide inputs based on how you're developing the app as well. Going back to the template, you will see quite some templates you can use from, and one of them interests you. You can just say copy and start using that particular app. So with this, I would like to thank you for your time and tuning in and listening to us. Do reach out to us, and we'd be happy to support your transformation journey in this space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prakash, for the in-depth and comprehensive presentation. And now, before we move to the Q&A session, I would like to request Sneha Jha, editor of etcio.com, to share some of the key insights from the past workshops. A very warm welcome, Sneha.
Hello and welcome to this much awaited 10th edition of Reimagining Tech in 2022, a series of workshops brought to you by ETCIO in association with Google Cloud. The rationale behind this series is to shine light on some of the Google Cloud applications across the enterprise landscape, the remarkable technology innovation stories that are emerging across the enterprise landscape, and to feature the IT leaders architecting them. In the course of this 10-part series, we've covered topics like application modernization, big data, applied AI, DevOps, future of work, securing businesses, conversational AI, and reimagining DevSecOps. We've had an elite group of IT leaders from organizations like LendingCart, BharatPay, Concentrix, Cars24, Tech Mahindra, PolicyBazaar.com, Ecom Express, Meesho, and Sterlite Technologies to talk about some of the innovative ways in which they have been leveraging these technologies. When Bob Dylan famously sang, "The times they are a-changing," it was a concerted attempt to create an anthem of change for the time. But that logic applies to the world of technology suitably well. The times, they surely are a-changing. And as if to keep up with the changing technology trends, the business models are undergoing a dramatic transformation. When the history of digital adoption in the enterprise is chronicled, the beginning of the global pandemic in 2020 will emerge as the watershed year after which nothing ever was the same for the enterprise. The year provided a forced but effective proof of concept for how to digitally transform businesses at scale and speed. In fact, evolutionary biologists believe that the pandemic can be equated to a punctuated equilibrium of historic proportions. It has forever punctured the status quo that we had. It was, in fact, an evolutionary pivot to a new service and experience-based economy. It has permanently altered the expectations towards a digital-first experience. Over these 2 years, enterprises have rolled out more and more digital initiatives with fewer resources, in shorter and shorter time cycles. and the role of cloud as a foundation for innovation has never been in a brighter spotlight. A cloud-first, cloud-native approach allows business to sink their teeth into a new idea at a fast pace. It allows you to democratize innovation and experimentation with possible use cases that can have a business impact and develop pilots and prototypes. At the appropriate click moment, when a project appeals to the business, IT is then able to roll it out double quick. Many, if not most organizations, had a forcing function for cloud. The pandemic and the extended lockdown left CIOs and IT executives with an unexpected stress test of their technology infrastructure. Some struggled to adapt, while others reaped the rewards of their investment in cloud. A study found that organizations that leveraged multiple clouds with automated operations and secure access to applications and data from any device and location released new applications 42% faster and spent 41% less time fiddling with infrastructure. Cloud thought leader Joe McKendrick was right when 3 years ago he predicted that IT is one small piece of the cloud story. A much bigger story is unfolding on the business side. The curtain is now opening on cloud computing's second act, which is all about business and new digital experiences for driving business growth and customer value. Gartner expects the tilt to the cloud to become much more pronounced in the next few years. It has predicted that more than 85% of organizations will adopt a cloud-first approach by 2025. But this is also the hard part. By squinting through the data from research on cloud adoption, we are able to better understand the momentum. The Cambrian explosion of cloud means that enterprises are moving from a simplistic single cloud environment to a more complex multi-cloud use case environment. This is a takeoff of a movement, a multi-cloud networking movement. For organizations to be successful in the cloud journey, they need to shift from an IT mindset to an engineering mindset, strategically aligned to the measurable business outcomes. This does not mean swapping out people. Rather, it's necessary to invest in existing resources by teaching the skills that are critical to leverage the cloud while balancing cost, quality, and security. Enterprises will continue to embrace cloud-native architecture to accelerate digital initiatives. Serverless technologies allow for rapid development in a pay-as-you-go model without the need to deploy separate cloud infrastructure. Incorporating these technologies into agile methodologies in 2022 will accelerate speed to market and improve developer effectiveness while removing complex and lengthy IT infrastructure decisions from app development lifecycles. As cloud adoption increases and the cloud becomes more complex, tools to help developers understand and organize their cloud environment will become necessary and take over the market. Visual solutions that help them see their cloud infrastructures, detect and troubleshoot outages, and make changes in real time will emerge as a better way to tame the cloud chaos and to make cloud management via spreadsheets obsolete. One of the biggest challenges cloud providers face in 2022 is the rapid transformation of the digital sector. Everyone wants to be on the action, but the methods for which organizations can transition to cloud aren't one size fits all. The cloud market will need to become even more flexible in the years ahead. This includes taking a holistic approach to security and data storage. offering real-time security monitoring, analytics, and more to help businesses get the most from the cloud. This becomes even more important when considering that remote work isn't just a pandemic coping mechanism. It's here to stay, and it isn't going anywhere. When Tesla started to use GigaPress for building large casing, it was breaking away from the traditional car building approach. Now the same strategy is being adopted by half a dozen car companies. On the same line, the battle between traditional IT and cloud native approaches will continue and will get more heated. The winners will be companies that moved to cloud native or cloud centric IT approaches before others, gaining competitive financial leverage. Industry leaders see enterprises gaining tremendous advantage with the cloud. The leverage gained will be used to develop new products and offerings and grow the company. Chinese general and military strategist Sun Tzu, in his fabled military treatise, The Art of War, said, "Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat." To wend their way through digital, organizations are overhauling their business model with technology as the leitmotif. And their technology strategy needs to be chiseled with the best tactics. This is where they need a vendor partner that can foster the idea of co-creation and help them limber up for the digital age. During this series, Google Cloud specialists shared an actionable ideas and powerful insights. The session topics were carefully selected to be of maximum value to the Indian enterprises. The workshops answered the what next question by taking a cue from today's trends. When we talk about digital transformation at scale, data becomes the mind and cloud becomes the backbone. This requires a fundamental rewrite of the technology stack. Cloud is enabling this shift as it proves to be a popular and pragmatic model for infrastructure deployment to offer benefits through increased flexibility, scalability, and availability. With better compute being available, organizations are able to think in terms of big data and build for real time. Plans are afoot to focus on operationalization of data science outcomes and computing it in a business process to then move from data-driven decisioning to intelligence-driven decisioning. This helps shorten time to value and offer customer delight. To enable all of this, organizations also need to democratize access to data at multiple points, not only for people, but also for systems. Cloud has emerged as a force multiplier for a lot of data-led innovation programs. If data is the oil, cloud is the pipeline, and AI is the refinery. Cloud has helped organizations scale up and move AI into full-scale production. But as organizations strive to fast-track AI ML, they stare at the valley of death between R&D and production. Wise with the research of Google Brain and Google DeepMind, Google Cloud was able to create the bridge to cross the valley of death between R&D and production. As a result of this research, a solution, Vertex AI, was created. It is a unified development and deployment platform for data science and machine learning. It offers service across pre-trained models, app platforms, and core AI platforms. The other big challenge for most organizations is that while they are operating in an entirely new digital arena, they still continue to rely on monolithic legacy systems in core as well as key surrounding application space. When these systems were developed, many failed to scope out the amount of flexibility and agility that would be needed in the digital arena. Application modernization and migration is at the heart of all digital transformation efforts. Hence, enterprises are increasingly looking to modernize their application portfolios to digitize their offerings, enhance user experience, accelerate innovation, and go to market faster by making data more accessible. Organizations need to reimagine their app layer to be cloud native, container driven, microservices architecture. The pressing need for speed, agility, and scalability is also driving organizations to develop apps on the cloud. For most organizations, this is a forcing function for cloud-based app development. However, with app development on the cloud, concerns around security abound. For embracing agile development methodology enabled by DevOps along with the prerequisite to migrating applications to the cloud, it is critical that businesses embed security into their development operating model. As security in the cloud takes center stage, organizations are adopting a shift-left approach when developing apps on the cloud with DevSecOps. Re-architecting their cloud security model around the security by design approach, DevSecOps enables businesses to create more secure and agile applications in the cloud. When the light switch moment hit us all in March 2020, the workforce for the first time entered an era of working from home, and they relied upon technology to do so. Screens became the windows to reach teammates working remotely. We think of 2020 as the year work moved home, but in reality, it's the year work moved to the cloud. So, in a world of work from anywhere, organizations leveraged cloud powered solutions, video conferencing, hybrid workplace, varied spaces, and collaboration to keep up. Today's workplace is as dynamic as the digital collaboration tools that connect everyone within it. Cloud computing, video conferencing, telecommuting, workflow collaboration apps, and messaging platforms have uncoupled collaboration from the brick and mortar world of cubicles and water coolers to now empowering every level of employee to realize his efficient way of working. A blend of remote and office work is developing as the likely scenario, and a digital first, hybrid first will emerge as the dominant operational model. In line with this organizational imperative, the rules of engagement, collaboration, communication, and information exchange have been written and how. The future of workplace will be fluid, dynamic, and powered by digital technologies with experiences that allow you to be there from anywhere at any time. When it comes to cloud adoption, can security concerns be far behind? Not really. The reality today is that enterprises must secure business processes from and for the cloud. As we move into the next era of cloud computing, CIOs and CISOs will need to adopt a continuous security model to protect data and workloads, manage threats and compliance, and to secure identities and networks. The workforce, workloads, and workplace need to be secured from cloud-related security concerns. Apart from visibility, the important things to consider, therefore, are prevention, detection, and automation. In a digital-first era, employees and customers alike do not want to compromise on the experience due to security. So, cloud security solutions should be made non-intrusive and frictionless for end users. You don't have to put users through a cumbersome chain of processes that makes life difficult for them. Another important trend is the accession of conversational AI in the contact center space. According to Markets and Markets Research, the global conversation AI market is expected to grow at a CAGR of almost 22% till 2025. This steady growth will be enabled by the radical change in the voice landscape through dedicated processing power, voice-enabled customer devices, AI ML advances, fast and cheap reliable high-speed networks. The Google Cloud AI has features for every AI user, right from infrastructure to data scientists to line of business managers. The move to cloud also creates a springboard for innovation within your company. The more thought and planning you put into making your technology decisions, the better your business outcomes will be, wherever your organization lands in the matrix of digital options. That's why we created this series for our viewers. Some things will never be the same, and quite understandably. It'll be a brave new world for the technology industry and the enterprises alike. And on that optimistic note, it's a wrap on the series called Reimagining Tech in 2022. I hope the series helped you with some deep insights and actionable information into navigating the new and hopefully improved year. May the force be with you.
Thank you, Sneha, for giving us a quick glance of the commendable work done till now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, it is now time for the Q&A session. We have received a number of queries throughout the workshop, but we will be putting across very relevant and pertinent questions to all our guests on the workshop topic and try finding the answers to them. Well, let me once again introduce our guests. Ajay Chawla, Head IT and Infosec, Sterlite Technologies Ltd, and Prakash Panchal, Google Workspace and AppSheet Specialist, Google Cloud. Now, heading straight to our Q&A session, the most awaited part, we have received a number of queries throughout the workshop, starting with you, Ajay, first. There is a question from the audience which says that suggest some mobile application development method with no coding platform.
Sure. I think that's a simple one. I think, more than me, Google would do a much better job. But there are, from my perspective, what I've seen is AppSheet, obviously, but also, OutSystems, Coda. These are few which come to top of my mind, which can be used as those platforms. But I would just want to add few things, right? It depends
Absolutely.
on the business requirement and what you want to do, how much time do you have, what is the complexity. Those come into play, but this in general could be a good answer to.
I think very brief and very precise. And another very pertinent question to you, Prakash. How do you regulate and control the no code apps?
Sure. So, yeah, good question. So, if you look at from a regulation standpoint, based on what regulation as an industry you follow, now the regulation is all around the data and how the data is saved and how the data is processed versus where the application is hosted. Now, AppSheet as a platform, when you look at it's a front end which then connects to the database wherever it is. So from a regulation, data residency, governance standpoint, all of those aspects are taken care by the organizations themselves because you have control of that data. And AppSheet sits as a platform in the front end where it is retrieving the data from your database and producing it to the users of that particular app.
I think again, very precisely you have answered that question again. Ajay, asking you the other question which we have received from the audience. In the future, how do you see the organizations which are using tools developed on coding platforms? They will not be in the race anymore?
Uh, I think in my mind, now it is too early. Very good question. I think it is looking into the
Hmm.
future, and future, as we know, is very unpredictable. But just to state a few things which come off top of my mind is I think there is a play for every type of environment, right? Earlier, you had mainframes to what you have now, SaaS, and obviously mobile app, etc. There'll be always, in my mind, places where there'll be heavy coding involved, right from the kernel to upwards. So those platforms are or needs are not going anywhere. But more and more, the whole idea being with this low code, no code, or low code application platforms like AppSheet is that it is going to change the way we perceive solving a problem. It doesn't go back always to creating from start, rather use these platforms to shrink the time so that there are complexities involved where there will be a coding involved, and then there will be simplification required and time to market, which can be solved by these low code, no code platforms.
I believe that this is a very important insight for the viewers who are watching this discussion. And nothing better than what you have given the inroads to what the entire coding platform is all about. Prakash, coming to you, the second question to you is again very important, which says that how do we integrate with RPA bots of yours to our ERP system? Is there any option to connect DB of ours like Oracle?
Yeah, so it again, I'll anchor it to my first response. So if you look
Hmm.
at again AppSheet, it's a front end, and your database can be technically it can be anything. So take a case where you have an app which is built on, let's say, a database which is running on SQL, for an example. Not the best thing to do, but yeah, let's say if it's running on SQL, and then you also need to retrieve further information from an Oracle database or from a BigQuery database, or technically from any database as such. So AppSheet does have connectors. Some of them are built in, where you can connect to an external data source and retrieve information, process information, and run JSON queries against those. And there are some instances where you will not find a connector. And at that point of time, the platform is open, which allows you to build your own connector to those data sources and run those workflows, algorithms to those databases as well. So if you look at from a 360-degree standpoint, uh, you connect to multiple data sources in your organization to get a task done or get a work done. But at the end, once the work is completed, you also need to update some other database sitting somewhere else. You can use AppSheet for those processes as well.
We really appreciate that bang on response, Prakash. And now coming to you, Ajay, how do you find no code platforms in competition with the low code platforms? The teams are most interested in low code. So, what can be done in that case, in that scenario?
Sure. And I think Prakash, thank you for also adding to my previous question to what you said. There is always that interface which is involved. Thank you for sharing that. And I think for this question also, Prakash, I would want to chip in at the end. This uh, as I said, I think it depends on the need, whether you want to choose a no-code platform or some cases low-code. Preferably, I think this whole environment with AppSheet and other applications is taking towards is that they have all these backend and integrations with various databases, with various other applications which are there, the ERPs of the world or CRMs of the world. Um, Filled in that you do minimal or no coding. That's the journey, right? That is where you want to attack. So the more focus should be that if you can solve the problem through no code platforms, that's the best way to go forward. But again, if there are gaps which needs to be, the platform should enable with those low code options to play with.
Prakash, would you like to add something to Ajay's response in that case?
Yeah, yeah, Ajay was bang on. So if you look at no code, especially, I would define no code as building any app where I need to quickly go ahead and do certain tasks or let my team do certain tasks. However, more the complexity of the app. When I say complexity, meaning you need to connect to multiple data sources, retrieve information from external source using an API, and take that API, process that information, put it somewhere else. That somewhere else is again going to take that information, then give it back to you. So when the application gets complex, that's where you would bring a low code type of an application, which even AppSheet could essentially do it. And if I have to differentiate why and how you should use no code and low code as a platform, especially as, like I said in the beginning, when you're building smaller point apps for your business unit, for your teams, that's where you want to quickly go ahead and show value so that you can start automating right there on day one. And then you kind of build on top of it or bring multiple those use cases inside one app. And that's where your complexity will evolve. And that's where your application will become complex. And that's where you will start moving from a no code to a low code journey.
That was indeed a valuable addition to Ajay, what Ajay just answered. Prakash, one more question to you. Is AppSheet part of Google Workspace?
Yeah, so AppSheet does come as part of Google Workspace. Now, as you know, there are certain capabilities which we kind of try to balance between different SKUs, so that we call it different types of licenses. They come with specific capabilities, but from a workspace standpoint, yes, workspace does come with AppSheet license, which allows you to do some of the basic capabilities in building app and using that app, sharing it with the end users as such.
And when we talk about the app sheet, Ajay, my next question automatically comes to you. Tell us, how did your app sheet journey start?
Okay. Yeah, so I think that's a very interesting question, obviously, because with this is a new technology, a new platforms coming in. It's from a Google point of view, we have been always looking for avenues to solve problems, right? So initially, 4 5 years ago, 4 years ago, there was one need, business need was there, and at the same time, there was App Maker, which was there. So we have been quick to adopt to these newer packages or SKUs, as Prakash used it, and leverage them to solve a problem. So similar case with AppSheet came in. There was a business requirement of kind of an all-in-all package for managing movement of material, manpower within plants, inbound, outbound, and also to be the material should be also captured in our ERP. So that is where we wanted to figure out how we can quickly do it, because the existing application, which was a SaaS application, was some way meeting and some way not meeting. So we wanted to give it a try with the app sheet, and that's how the journey with try started. Quickly we evolved it into a full-fledged platform with now around 11 applications being live on, where the whole management of movement is managed through this platform in the plant, inbound and outbound. So it's actually, from a plant operations point of view, it's playing a role with this application to be built. And we wanted to do one more thing here. We didn't want the developers to be doing that. We have a process team or the business analyst team. The challenge was that if these guys who are understood the business requirement, working closely with the stakeholders, can they develop it And so the idea was that one person started developing it and started showing incrementally to the end users, the business users. So this incremental journey, right, and being done by a non-developer, that triggered that whole pieces that, I can use this platform, it can be quick, it can be done by the people who are not necessarily typically involved in the development, and complete this whole landscape and give a solution to the stakeholders, because this is all part baked out of the Google Workspace license package, uh, almost at no cost, right, except for this development period. So this is how this application journey with AppSheet started from an STL point of view. Krithiya, you are on mute.
I said, Ajay, it was indeed very interesting. A lot of takeaways from your journey. Prakash, it takes me to you, the next question. And this is, in fact, intriguing for me also personally. The next question is, can AppSheet be integrated with Active Directory, SUAD, OKTA for authentication?
Yeah, so absolutely. So if I have to give a one word answer, yes. But
Hmm.
I would take a step back and give you scenarios around why and what makes it enable those services to integrate with your directory. So respective of the directories that you mentioned, the Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, or Okta, for every platform, you need a directory service so that you can authenticate and take triggers from those authentication, log it into your application, and etc., and many other use cases that you would have. So yes, AppSheet can integrate with your directory services to not only provide you single sign-on capabilities, but also use some of the security measures that you're already using inside your directory service and bring those inside of the app, which is your AppSheet app.
I think it brings to rest all the queries, all the question around this very important fact which you explained. Ajay, the next question is to you. How many apps have you built at STL using AppSheet and catering to which business functions?
So as I think the from a journey point of view, I just told you that the journey
Absolutely.
has been through this material and manpower movement in the plant, and also there are around at this point of time 11 such applications. But it is, it's more, rather no, actually 13. There are other aspects which are coming in. For example, we wanted to do the project tracking where people are on on the go, on the field services guys. When from an STL point of view, we are laying down fibers, for example, in UK. So we wanted to have that facility, to have that application which can use the Google Maps from a location point of view, also track through a mobile, how the work is happening on the ground, take photos and the, the measurement, and also the landscape, and also give the tracking of how many kilometers has been laid in one day, for example, by an individual. This application also came out through this app sheet. So it's a journey. It depends on the business problem. So but to answer your question, how many, the simple answer is around 13 at this point of time.
Wow, commendable, commendable indeed. Prakash, are there any limitations on application created in AppSheet?
No, so AppSheet, it's a per user license, if I have to call it that way. And then once a user is allowed to create apps, they can create as many apps that they would need. There's no limitations to number of apps that they can create, or number of apps that they can share it with their colleagues or with their business users inside the org, or even outside the org for some use cases as well. So yeah, from a limitation standpoint for creation of apps, there isn't any limitation as such.
Right. Uh, Ajay, what are the top three benefits that your organization has derived by using the no code application platform from Google?
Uh, so to name the three, what I understand from the work done by the team:
Yes.
time to give the solution, time to develop, right? When I say develop, the solution being in front of the business users is considerably shortened with this AppSheet platform, and I am expecting that that will be true for all LCNC or LCAP platforms. That's the expectation from a IT point of view. Second is that you are iteratively being able to show parts of it quickly, right? There are things to demonstrate right away as the business problem comes in, because there is a typically, as I've been talking in my previous part, was also the business urgency. Businesses are now operating at a different scale altogether from an urgency point of view. This fills in the gap. And then third is, which I talked about, you can extend the development of these apps, if you want to call it, through people who are not necessarily IT. It's a maturity journey which will go through, but that's the extension where I think it should reach to. Obviously, within the paradigm of how it is deployed, etc., being managed by IT. So these
Right.
three aspects should
Right.
be the.
Prakash, you have anything to add to it, or to answer, or to give your valuable inputs?
Yeah, those three which Ajay said are definitely the practical ones, and in my experience I've heard these three to be the most useful, just because if you look at the development cycle of an app, right, it starts with an idea, then there is an IT process that gets involved where they think about which platform, which language, how many resources, where, and it then there is the first version of the app that gets created. And by the time the first version gets created, the business needs changes or gets appended, and that's where they have to again go back and follow the same process. Now the LCNC platform helps you overcome that, because the first business problem that came in, you were able to show value by creating the app in a very short period of time, and all the further improvements, or I would say additions to the business needs, when they come in, you just add on top of it, and you don't have to wait for those features to be showcased and given it back to the consumers of those apps. They just have it. So that's one of the biggest benefit, is what I would say.
Amazing, gentlemen. Since we are heading towards the closure of this very important and vital discussion, I would like to have closing remarks from both of you. Ajay, closing remarks for this very important topic, and considering the fact that we conducted 10 workshops to highlight the importance, to familiarize our viewers with the subject. Your closing remarks on this.
I think if, from an IT point of view, if you have to be relevant, we need to be ready to adopt these platforms. As Prakash also mentioned, business needs change. Business, and from my point of view, I'm seeing it day in, day out. Business urgency, it has a different level. And we need to look out for solution at this point of time. With the maturity evolving, this looks to be promising to be able to do point solution and also integrated solutions as we go along the journey. Very, very important that people who understand the business urgency are on this bandwagon of LCNC.
Prakash, I would like to have closing remarks from you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I would say is, you have what we have done so far is show and tell. If you want to be relevant and be agile, uh, I would suggest that you go Google AppSheet, sign up for it, and just play around with it, and then you'll see the actual value of it.
Now, this brings us to the end of the series of 10 very important and vital workshops. Thank you so much, Ajay, and thank you so much, Prakash, for joining us and giving us your valuable time and the knowledge which you have shared here with us. Thank you to our audience for being so patient and interactive, and for those very lovely questions out there. In fact, it was a great learning experience for me as well. Take care, stay safe, and thank you so much once again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.